Ronald Penton. It's always a pleasure. Penman on Facebook, good to see you. There's our Keith, 5,900 buck. Nice to have you here. John Hares, how are you, man? Jim Nicholas, welcome to the chat room. How are you? Robert Dixon, good to see you. The lovely and talented Wrench Princess Denali is here. And Kevin, good to see you. And who else am I missing? Loof Goat, or Goat Fool, whatever. You can do what you want. Either way. Goat Fool, how are you? Nice to see you. Pedro, good to have you back. Middle finger to you as well, my friend. Thank you. And let's see. See me now, Agent X11. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. TH, good to see you. Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Remember, everyone, a great way to support this show is hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and, of course, give us a thumbs up. Along with the super chat is open. Let's have a good time tonight. We are on in 10 seconds. We got a great show for you planned out. Let's get this thing going, shall we? There's lovely Nicole and Keith and his beautiful pork chop sideburns. 4 seconds. Let's rock and roll. Here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is Stu Gerson. Why did I say that? It's spacedoutradio.com. I got all excited with Stu in the chat room. Yes. I don't even know where to go. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Oh, man, did I blow that intro or what? Hey, sometimes it happens. You know, that's just the way it goes around here. Nothing is uncut. Nothing is unedited. And it's time to board the Woo Train, as we will be heading for peak woo tonight, as our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection are back on the show. Keith is a lifelong experiencer and intuitive who helps guide and counsel those who have questions about the phenomena and about their own experiences. We are also joined by a lovely guest. Apparently she's one hell of a cook, Nicole Sakich, who is one of the top research assistants for legendary researcher Grant Cameron. Our Keith, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, not bad at all. How about you?
I am doing absolutely great, and the lovely and talented Nicole Sakich, good to have you back. You haven't been on in a while.
I haven't. It's nice to be back. Thank you, Dave.
Does it feel like home? Honestly, let's just be
honest. It does. Sitting here with you and with Keith, you know.
That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Right? Keith, I got to ask you, man. Another month has gone by since we last had you on the show. What's new? How many times have you been taken this month?
Well, I had a heck of a conversation. I got a heck of a run to a different place altogether. But this month, how far into it are we? Oh, I take you're referring to including April.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Because I'm thinking this month, not a lot. But, you know, that I can think of right offhand, 5.
5
but
times.
I had one that ran 2 nights back to back. Very long conversation to make sure I was on the right track. But I basically told them what I was going to do and what I wasn't going to do.
What weren't you going to do? Let me in on this.
Oh, that's the easy part. I'm not about to, like I told them, I'm not about to tell people where they are situated on the planet. It's just a bad idea from the get-go. Right. The other thing is that what people don't seem to understand, and I still get questions about when the off-worlders are planning on settling down here. And like I told them, I will do what I can. Like I told the off-worlders, well, I will do what I can to let the humans know that no, they are not in danger of being invaded. Because in simplest terms, if they were, the fight would be over before mankind knew it got started.
Well, there's a lot of interesting things happening right now in the world of UFOs. And Keith, I'm wondering from you, and I know you don't pay attention to the mainstream news, you got your own thing going on. But for you, when you hear stories about the fact that they're finally starting to get closer to admitting we might have some aliens around here, what's your answer to that?
Well, it's about time they got around to admitting it. It's like when they made the great big announcement just a couple of years back, right, that they found that they landed on Mars. To me, that would have been news if they'd have told us that in the late 70s. But somebody caught a video somebody posted a video the other day about about a set of aliens that was caught in New York. And they asked if it was real. And like I told them, I cannot speak to the veracity of videos. I can tell you to whether they're real. I can tell you whether what they're depicting is real. Right. But I cannot tell you whether the video itself is. Because unlike some of the people I have no knowledge on Terran technology to speak of.
Nicole, I know you have been very much upfront with the news that has been coming out lately regarding the potential of disclosure, the 180 days. I mean, we used to see maybe one UFO story in the mainstream media about every 6 months. Now it's almost every day, if not every day right now. Right. I mean, what's your thoughts of all this media coverage and hype around UFOs?
To say the least. And you hear about a lot of things in the pipeline and a lot of things that people are sitting on. So it kind of stirs the pot of excitement even more.
Mm-hmm. You are cutting out a little. You are cutting out a little bit. You're freezing on us. But at least you have a pretty face to freeze on. It's not like me where I'd be like, or something like that,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry. Where did it cut me off at?
It just did. It just did. I think once you warm up, it kind of moves a little faster. But
I'll be back then.
All right. Let's go. I want to get you going here. We're going to have to wait with you, Nicole. But for Keith, okay. The big thing for you right now is this is going to be a lot of news around the military. They're focusing everything around the military, Keith, when it comes to disclosure. I guess they can't right now say this is happening in the public. They just can't. They got to try and get control, and everything always starts with the military.
Well, think about it this way: if they were to come if the government around the world were to come right out and say, yes, there are people here, these off-worlders are here, right? If they were to come clean with how long the off-worlders have been here, and really where they fit, society would likely go into an absolute tailspin. Because all of a sudden, everything around technology, around religion, around belief would collapse. Now, yes, there's a lot of people that will take and go, yeah, finally, they're starting to tell us the truth. But of course, the majority of people in today's world will look at that and go, no, they're just making it up anyway. So you got to understand that for them to come right out and just say, yeah, we've known about it for decades, is going to create some ramifications that mankind, that even the people pushing for full disclosure don't realize what the ramifications are.
What do you think the ramifications are?
Well, if you all of a sudden were to find out Like if the average person who gets real edgy around strangers, don't talk to strangers type thing, you see a human walking down the street that you don't recognize, people get edgy. You watch an 8-foot reptile walk down the street packing a blaster cannon, and it's going to make people a whole lot edgier. It's amazing how many people don't quite realize what they're looking at. I mean, humans that are different colors make people edgy. People that are completely different, skeletally speaking. I mean, take a look at the movie Arrival. Picture if one of those was walking along on the street, albeit they would need a rebreather, right? But even if you picture one of those walking around underwater and the sub runs into it, these things are going to make people stand up and really question where they're standing and just how they're going to compete with that kind of power. But, the reality behind the off-worlders and humans is, aside from their toys, they are virtually the same. I mean, granted, genetically they're different. But when it comes to the overall, their overall, if you will, social graces, they are pretty much the same as humans.
Do you think the ETs want contact?
Some of them, yes. But the reality is that they're as edgy about contact, if not more so, than humans are. Because don't forget, humans have two things going for them that make the off-worlders really edgy. One is humans are born with the natural capacity to control what humans call zero-point energy. Basically, mankind has the natural capacity to modify the odds of reality. Only mankind doesn't realize it. When you think that, with mankind's incredible curiosity streak, and that makes you dangerous around a fusion reaction or a planet buster.
All right, let's get to Greco's question, kicking off the questions from our audience in our chat rooms. And if you are in our audience and you want a question for our Keith, all you have to do is go into one of our chat rooms and type it in capital letters. Greco in Toronto is asking, are Earth's vortexes natural or alien, and are they being used against humans?
Number one, they're natural. Number two, are they being used against alien or against humans? No. Humans, are they being utilized, in the same area, or are they being utilized around humans? Certainly. But some humans also have the capacity to access them. Okay. But are they being used against them? Only if you count moving about unseen as moving against them. Because there are vortexes on this planet that you can jump from one part of the planet to another.
All right, let's get to Greg's question. Do alien craft have windows? Could they be submarines with anti-gravity?
Well, I guess the term could be says it all. Technically, yes, they could be. Frankly, they're not, but they could be. See, many of the, like with alien craft, depending on the craft, like for instance, you've seen this, I'm pretty certain you've seen the cylindrical, the great big cigar shaped craft that have the windows. Okay, those are actual view screens. Those are actual windows. Okay, could they technically be used as a submarine? Yeah. But I think they'd show up in pretty much every sonar reading that you got. Okay, but are they, I think what he's asking is whether or not mankind has built submarines with zero G.
Well, submarine-like craft.
Yeah, submarine-shaped craft. Mankind is playing with gravity, but the reality is, from my understanding, because they've got the calculations on gravity backwards, they're having trouble getting it to work on a mass level. I mean, on smaller vehicles, like I think they came up with a hovercraft that works because it's a smaller, with a like a hover bike that works because it's smaller weight displacement. But when you're talking about something the size of these ships, you would have, if you were to work gravity the way that mankind understands it and is trying to utilize it, you would crush everything below it. Because essentially they seem to be trying to run gravity as a repulsor to break away from mankind's from the planet. And the funny thing there is they're trying to go against the power instead of with it. Think of it this way: anti-gravity, what they're trying to do is push off the ground, but they're pushing against gravity, which is pushing down. If they were to set it up with a deflector on top to redistribute the gravity push from the top, the ship would go up like that, which may not be a good thing, but it would get them off the planet in a hurry. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. All right, let's get to another question here. And this one, as the chat room's moving nice and fast right now, this one comes from Joshua, who is asking, what is really going on to be revealed on June 25th when the 180 days is up with the Pentagon?
I have no idea. And the reason I say that is because, ironically enough, the Pentagon doesn't actually tell me what they're up to.
No, I understand that, but what's going to be happening, Keith, is on June 25th, there is going to be a release of documents where the Pentagon is allegedly going to say what they know about UFOs and what they've been hiding over the years.
Well, that'll be fascinating to see how much they actually reveal. I have no doubt that they will say some things, and a lot of people will stand there going, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. And, I don't know how I'm going to react to it, because most of what they're trying to, I had a conversation a while back. I was actually confronted by a member of the CIA. And they told me that they knew everything I talked to them about. Well, our meeting didn't go quite the way they wanted. So I'm thinking what they're about to reveal, they're going to reveal some, but most of the important stuff they're not going to say a word about. They'll tell you what they're telling you is the real big stuff. But I'll tell you right now, in my opinion, nope. They'll give enough to stop people from asking them to give full disclosure. But, it's going to be kind of like telling somebody that the bread on top of the sandwich has mayonnaise on it, and they don't tell you anything below that.
So you don't think we're going to get anything good? What kind of secrets do you think they'll hold back?
Oh, the important ones, like how long they've actually been in contact with them, how much technology and the technology they haven't been releasing. Like, they won't turn around and tell you the information they've got as far as, especially the medical cures and what have you. They will not release them. Okay. They will, they're not about to tell you just exactly, and they certainly won't tell you where these guys are. And that one, in all fairness, I don't blame them for not opening up and saying this is where they are. Can you picture the riots that would happen if they all of a sudden decide to open up a place like Area 51? If they would all of a sudden say, yeah, we've got technology, we've got aliens here. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you right now, in my opinion, Area 51 has been transferred into more of a decoy. It's kind of like the Mars space station.
What leads you to believe that?
Practicality. If everybody is looking at Area 51 and going, that's where all the stuff is going on, okay, then they can move the stuff out of there and put it someplace else. Nobody's going to look at it. I know of one case in particular where a very world-renowned celebrity was coming through town. The media jumped on it and assumed he was at one hotel. Right? Well, nobody bothered telling the media they were wrong. So the hotel got a staggering amount of advertising, right? But the guy that was trying to get peace and quiet from the media got to hide out in a small little hotel. Right? So if they point the finger at Area 51, for instance, then all you do is keep everybody looking at it and move everything out the back door. Where they moved it to, I'm not about to say. Am I absolutely certain in my own way that that most of what was there has been moved? The answer is absolutely yes.
All right. Kirk says, humans can modify the odds of reality. What does that mean?
Humans can take a perfectly logical path, look at all the odds on it, make everything, like, work it all out and go the completely wrong direction and still come out on top. You know, people talk about energy, about working with energy. And I'll tell you, everybody that is listening can pull this one off. If you take your hands and put them, just a half an inch apart, and you focus for a moment, you can feel something between them. Now, with that in mind, you can work that energy so you can feel it across the room. I know of one person in particular that can generate sound waves by thinking about it. Okay, I know of another one. Now, that one I've met in person. I know of another one that is a pyrokinetic. He can take reality, which says, we've got a solid item here, it's just normal. And this guy can think about it and agitate the molecules enough to cause them to burst into flames. There's another chap that I've heard of that can skydive without a parachute and has done so repeatedly. This is what I mean by modify reality. Reality says if you fall off a building, you're going to hit the ground and you'll bounce, but you'll be pretty much mucked up. But there are people that can modify that. And the reality is, if one person can do it, everybody can.
All right. We can accept that answer. Let's go to another question here as we bring in the lovely and talented Nicole Sakich once again. And let's go over to Greg. Greg is asking, do the feline races get mad when we have cats as pets?
From their standpoint, no. That's kind of like wondering if humans get mad when off-worlders have monkeys as pets. You know, they would have a problem if you were to take a Laborian, and if you could get a collar around them and actually keep them contained. They call that slavery. Animals, cats rather, are in the Laborians and the Lycan frame of mind, and in the Lyran mindset, Terran cats are a lower life form. They should be treated properly. They should be cared for properly. But the fact they're dealt with as pets, well, let's face it, they can't hold down a working job, aside from mouse catcher. And they're not bad at the spider thing.
Very true. Very true. Let's sneak in one more here quickly. We've got 30 seconds, Keith. This one's from new listener Sadie, who is asking, are aliens evil?
Absolutely not on the whole. You know, certainly there are ones that are, but aliens, as far as saying just overall, are they evil? No. No one race, like no race at all, is evil across the board. Same as no race is good across the board. There are good people, there are good aliens, there are evil ones.
All right. On that note, Nicole's back. We think we may have a good connection now. Our Keith Andrews, the ET Connection, happens the first week of every month. We love having Keith around here. And on YouTube, seeing his pork chop sideburns makes it all worth it. Give him a tug, Keith. You're doing well. Give him a tug.
Combs room.
All right. Let me see here. I am like way behind right now. Way behind the chat room. Oh, man. Nicole, you plugged in, didn't you?
No.
No, definitely not.
Oh, I can't plug her, so or sit on the floor in the corner next to my box. So, do you want me to do that?
You need to get a longer cable.
I was thinking the same thing. But,
Look how good she looks. Like when she freezes,
Wait.
she's just like.
No, you only do that if you're pulling the bewitched thing. Or is that the Santa Claus thing?
My whole face moves except my nose, so that was a good first. Good first.
Yeah, that was quick.
Andrew, thank you for the $5 super chat. Let us know where you're trucking tonight, man. Where'd you pull over to listen to the show for the night? I think Andrew's only home like one half a day per month. He's always out trucking somewhere.
Dave, this is the first time I've seen somebody come up with a good use for a tinfoil hat.
Where?
Oh, Andrew there suggested that Nicole gets a tinfoil chef hat.
Yes.
I
Yes.
could fill it with like baked potatoes and shove it in the oven. Like,
Yes, you should.
Well, yeah, you could do that too, but I think he was referring to wearing it.
right? But no.
At least it
represents days gone by. I was never that paranoid experiencer where I was like, "Ooh, got to block the signal." So, were you ever like
that, tinfoil worked really good on the old rabbit ears?
Like that, Keith? Off of your phenomenon?
I said tinfoil worked really good on the old rabbit ears.
Yeah.
But tinfoil doesn't do a thing to slow down. It doesn't even slow down the aliens.
Section?
Yeah. Well, the energy that aliens work with it will not be stopped by Terran tinfoil.
Right.
Okay. I mean, you got to remember, they're using a triphasic pulse cannon, which means that a tinfoil hat won't even slow it down.
In other words, it's a big fucking cannon with big balls to fire.
Dave, you said a bad word.
I totally did on YouTube. Yes. We're not on the radio right now.
Brother, you just said the energy aliens work with. Is that the same type of energy that like Buddhists in meditation work with, like trying to achieve?
Buddhists actually tap into something much more powerful than what aliens actually work with.
Yeah.
What some call chi. Is that
chi?
That is more powerful than what the aliens work with.
Chi.
Aliens work with a technological energy.
Yeah.
Humans that are working on that kind of what they call chi or what they call 0 point is something that can tear the hull off a starship if it's given enough energy to it. Okay, see,
that makes
think
sense.
of it this way: alien technology, when they use their energy patterns, they will travel between the molecules. They can actually fire a communication beam that will start on one side of the planet. It will pass right through the planet and re-solidify on the other side. Humans, when they work with when they get the chi energy working properly, instead of sending it through and having it show up on the other side, they literally have the capacity to punch a hole. Now, yes, aliens do have weapons that'll do that.
All right, guys, wind it up here for a quick second. Want to say a big thank you once again to Joshua, Greco, Andrew for the amazing super chats that we got going on. Remember, if you're new here, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, so you know when we are going to go live. Our Keith Andrews, the cook, is back. It's so good to have the cook back. 5 seconds, everyone. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, I'm having too much fun here tonight. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. The ET Connection with our Keith Andrews happens the first week of every new month, and we're glad to have Keith here, and we have Nicole Sackage, researcher from Grant Cameron's research team. She's also a pretty good cook. Everyone, welcome back.
Well, thank you for having us.
Oh, yeah.
And welcome back to everybody joining us now and for all the people that are still here.
All right, Keith, here we go. Scott Brown's asking a question. Do you believe that an advanced civilization could reside below the surface of our oceans?
Absolutely. Right down at the base of the Marianas Trench and a couple of other places.
How do you know this?
Been there, done that.
Go into some detail, man. This is radio.
Sorry. No, quite literally, they have. If you watch, did you see the show The Abyss?
Yes.
Very accurate rendition.
Love that movie, by the way.
Okay. Not only is the water elemental real, but the technology they got down there is also real. You're dealing with, and the most important part of that is the technology used to get humans down below to actually talk to them. Okay. But they've got a beautiful system down there. Yeah, it's all done with bioluminescence. It's a combination of technology that they built, and most of it is biotech. In other words, they simply, you know how on Earth, like on the surface here, some arborists know how to guide trees, and bonsai trees are a prime example, where you guide the trees to grow in a certain fashion. Well, these guys do the same thing with deep water, with deep ocean coral. You know, they simply get it to grow in the right direction.
Nicole, what do you think about underwater bases, aliens coming from the oceans, hiding in our waterways?
I think it's embedded in our pop culture to some extent because of movies like The Abyss. And I think knowing the mystery in our seas and oceans, that adds to the fascination. But with this latest USO reports, and, they've crept out, into the community over. It really has people talking, and it makes me question Are they alien in the sense that they're from somewhere else, off planet? They've been hiding in our oceans, or have they been here the entire time, simply undiscovered or wanting to stay away from us? So I'm trying to make contact now because there's a theory that they're trying to make contact or they're stepping it up because we're ruining the ocean. And it kind of goes into what Keith says. If they're using technology and we're dumping toxic things into their world, I don't know. They might want to talk to us about that.
All right. And once again, for our audience, we know Nicole is having a little bit of trouble with her connection tonight, but that's okay. We're getting the message. We are getting it all the way. And the fact that she's here and that she even showered for this show is all that matters, everyone. That's all that matters right now. Keith, welcome back. 5900 is asking, do the aliens realize that they are in a simulation also?
What do you mean also?
I don't know. I just asked a question, man.
Oh, okay. Well, I would have to say no, but then we have this problem that we're not in a simulation. But that's the matrix theory that we're referring to, we presume. And the difficult part here is, from my standpoint, we're not in a simulation in the first place. So, no, they wouldn't think they're in a simulation either.
Okay. Blue Book is asking, can you ask R. Keith Andrews if ETs played chess during space travel, and did ETs invent the game of chess?
Some of them do, or variations of it. But chess is a Terran game. Strategy games have been played by warrior tribes for millennia. Chess is just a less blood-soaked one. The funny thing is, chess evolved, as far as I understand it, after the Middle Ages, after the major wars happened. It was a less bloody way to have combat on the field. But see, off-worlders, when they have their war games, let's just say when we're talking about winners and losers, well, if you survive, you win, and if you don't, you didn't win. It's like I've seen games of football where they carry the weapons with them. You're not just trying to get the pigskin across the counter. You're trying not to get killed by somebody with a sword.
Yeah, swords suck, man. Honestly. They do. They just hurt.
Well, they do take all the fun out of things, depending on what you consider fun.
Keith, do extraterrestrials, like you have met up with a number of species over time? You've had so many experiences over the years that really have helped enlighten you to whom you are today. Out of all those species you've dealt with, how many of them really, really want any sort of disclosure of their existence here on Earth?
As a species go, I can't think of one offhand that really does. There are some that play with the idea, but they also understand the ramifications of that disclosure. And the big thing from most of the off-worlders' standpoint is because the consortium is in the area going, no, we're not interfering with this evolution, especially from the research communities of the different aliens, they don't want disclosure happening because it will interfere with their xenosocioeconomic evolutionary research that they're doing. They're trying to find out how mankind is going to evolve. And if the off-worlders reveal themselves and say, hey, we're here looking at us, mankind's natural evolution will come to a grinding halt.
Katie's wondering if there are any ley lines in space.
Absolutely.
What are they called?
Well, humans call them ley lines. Off-worlders quite often refer to them as wormholes or possibly, depending. Sometimes they come into conjunction with black holes. By the way, you do not want to travel through a black hole. It's no fun on the other end.
Is it like a roller coaster?
No, it's like a roller coaster through a Cuisinart.
I'm in. All right. See How We Are Living is asking, will alien deniers be banned from social media after disclosure?
Not a snowball's prayer. There will certainly be people trying to deny them access. There will undoubtedly be companies that try and derail them or try and hide their input. But that has never worked in recorded history. Even on other planets, it's never worked. People are entitled to their opinion. It's like I was telling somebody the other day, they got into this argument they tried getting into an argument and told me that the world was flat. And he looks at me and goes, well, don't you believe it's flat? And we had to literally look at him and go, never mind what all of the media says. Let's go with the fact I've been up there and seen it. Okay, we'll go with that as my proof. Right. But there will always be people that deny that aliens are here. I mean, heck, when I was at a conference out east a number of years ago, we had them materialize in the lobby, and people denied that they showed up that way.
I've seen the photo. I used to have the photo until my iPhone 4 or 5 crapped out.
There's a climate of denial, not just in, the proof that we seek in ufology, though. I mean, there's Holocaust deniers.
Absolutely. Heck, there's Hiroshima.
There's the flat earthers. I mean,
I love the one claim that I heard from a flat earther one day. They said, "Look, the Earth is flat, and we've got members all around the globe."
Yeah, that was funny. That was actually called out by some scientific group. All right, Yola Tango is asking, Keith, are humans harvested as food by any of the alien races? Do they make teas from dried humans? I love this question. I would like an extra, grande human tea with some honey and whipped cream.
Because it comes out kind of like sludge.
Even if it's ground up? What if we're putting one of those Ron Popeil, dehydrators?
They don't work well. I mean, don't get me wrong. As far as Terran food goes, they work like a charm.
So what you're saying is we can't set it and forget it?
I would not recommend it. They call that murder.
Okay.
But in answer to her question, the answer is yes. Just like there are poachers.
Me too.
What was that, Nicole? You cut out.
I said recently Rick Doty spoke of an alien species that was self-sustaining.
There's a number of them do that.
It made a pouch on its hip area. Have you come across a species like this? It also had a veil it could pull down over its entire body.
What the heck is it called here? Let me just blow it up. It's funny, I was just working on volume 2.
In food.
Let us go back up here because I was just working on a race very similar to that. Just got to scan through and come up. There we are. The Frontiran, which are basically, they're along the same lines. Okay. But the Frontiran, they've got, their stomach is literally in their forearm. Okay, they don't generate the food in their forearm, but what they do is they'll grab hold of something with their hand, and then their stomach will eject over top of their hand and around whatever they're grabbing hold of and dissolve it. And that's how they build their.
Oh, wow.
Picture, if you will, the way a clam eats.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of an idea.
Right.
So I suspect that we're probably looking at much like.
No, he said it was about a golf ball.
About a which?
Said it was about the size of a golf ball. And I believe he said there was maybe two different, might be red and one might be white.
You're probably looking at different gender.
Aha.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mystery I know, solved. The mystery. I'll send you that picture whenever I...
That would be appreciated. Because,
find it. I thought of.
All right, let's move on to a new question from Greco in Toronto. If aliens were the Maple Leafs, would we have grown bored with them by now? My friend, look, it's been since 1967 since your team cheered. There is 4 feet of dust sitting on your lawn chair on Yonge Street right now. Okay, you're not winning the cup this year, all right? Just because you saw Austin Matthews' mustache at some McDonald's drive-thru grabbing a coffee doesn't mean that they're automatically going to win the cup. 67, my friend. 67. And it feels good to say that 67 all the time. I'm sorry, Keith. I took that answer. I stole that right from you.
Oh, that's no problem. But I was just thinking, if mustache showed up there on its own, they may have the talent to take it regardless of what people think.
Oh, they definitely have the talent. It's just Toronto. I mean, if the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup, it was bad enough for the Raptors. But if the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup, the rest of Canada is literally going to implode because Leaf fan is going to explode with ego right across the nation. It's going to be horrible. Horrible days. My prayer before I die is that the Leafs never win the Stanley Cup while I am breathing. And so far, so good. 47 years and counting for me. Since 1967 for the Leafs, it feels good. All right, Logan is asking, what can you tell us about Agartha and what races reside in Inner Earth?
Well, I'll use the colloquial names that most humans know. Elves, dwarves, centaurs, unicorns, minotaurs, gnomes, goblins, hobgoblins. Then you've got the shadow walkers, which are a lot of fun. Not. The list of races down there are staggering. Okay, there's even a lot of what Irishmen call the little folk have access down there. Not to mention the elementals. The so-called Hollow Earth is a little preoccupied. It's a little occupied. And yes, they do have capacity. They do have abilities that go way beyond human can.
All right, let's get to Uncle Dale's question and his power stash. Is Elon Musk an alien?
Well, number one, as I mentioned before, even were I to know one way or the other, there's no way I'd be telling anybody.
All right.
Does he have a staggering mind? Absolutely.
What about you, R. Keith? Uncle Dale's power stash wants to know if you're an alien.
I spent enough time in my labs to know better than to answer that one. I can tell you that my healing rate is something that the doctors can't figure out.
All right. Star A is asking, what do you off-ancient off-worlders think about movies, television shows about them?
They're a form of entertainment. What they haven't quite figured out is when people are going to realize that if you build a movie about something, You can actually take that picture. Humans have the capacity of taking that picture and making it happen. But humans haven't figured that out yet, which is actually something the off-worlders are really happy about.
J1 is asking, as a non-experiencer, what offlanders are in Missouri and how would I recognize them?
Well, specifically, I really don't have an answer as to which ones specifically are in that area. And that being said, depends entirely on which ones they are. Some you can recognize at sight, some, quite frankly, feel different. And of course, there are the few that just plain smell different.
Yeah, those are the ones from Illinois that smell different.
We think that was just rude.
Well, considering Nicole lives about, what, an hour, 2 hours from St. Louis? An hour?
Yep.
Yeah, it's Illinois. That's the stinky part. All right,
Yep.
moving on before I get into trouble. Joe is asking, Joe Smith this is, are there any alien bases on the moon?
Well, that depends on what you call a base. I call it a civilization or a hard point. On the so-called dark side of the moon, the place is crawling with off-worlders. You know, so I wouldn't exactly call it a base any more than I would call New York City a base. You know, or the township of Paris, France.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
We're running out of time. I'm going to move on to another question here. Greco is asking, if the consortium were to take a vote on the Earth topic, how do we know if it was legal?
Well, how do you know if the ones on Earth are made if they're legal?
I don't know.
Me either. See, most off-worlders are pretty black and white. Humans are ones that have a staggering capacity for deception. You know, I mean, you take a look at the Tormenons; they'll tell you right off the bat if they get a higher bid on a contract that they've signed the contract to. They'll tell you flat out if they get a better bid in the middle of that contract, they'll swap over and do the other guy's contract.
All right, let's move on. We got 90 seconds. Princess Denali wants to know, are there types of soil beings?
Absolutely, also known as earth elementals. Okay, and there are little folk that are like the Burundi, the Burundi are earth-based individuals, like as in soil-based. There's a couple of other ones that I'm actually in the process of dealing with. Nope, that's not the right one. I'm just looking at some of the ones I've been dealing with here. I've actually got volume 2 that I'm looking at. There we go, the Balar. Right. The Balar basically look like snails, but they travel through the earth.
Weird. Okay, 45 seconds. Kurt Seltzer with a splash of lime wants to know, do they have asteroid aliens or alien asteroids that could make us Superman type strong?
Technically the answer is yes, but the problem is if they were to use them, the musculature of the human victim would grow at such a staggering speed as to tear the person apart and crush its bones inside the muscles, which is why they won't use them. I mean, picture, if you will, trying to use a off-world medication or an off-world steroid on from a high G planet on a low G planet. Okay, the virus that actually survives, or the booster, the booster, is built in such a way it would absolutely decimate the human genome.
All right, our Keith, I'm going to get you to leave it right there, as Nicole Sackage, our Keith Andrews are here for the ET Connection. Happens beginning of each month. We enjoy Keith coming on in. We're happy to have Nicole here as well. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this with Hour 2. All right, you guys are free and clear. I do want to just mention thank you to J1 for the super chat that just came in. I know I have missed questions. I am about 15, 18 minutes behind in the chat room right now. So I'm going to leave the chat room. John Swan, your question is next. I know there's ones that I've accidentally missed because you guys are chatting too fast in the chat room. So I will be right back. And if I missed your question from 15, 20 minutes ago, just do me a favor and repost it. Thank you. Hi, Nicole. I'm going to let you chat with the chat room since you're up to date with them.
I'm trying to find that picture, guys. It is moving fast tonight. And I'm out of the saddle being on screen and trying to keep up with the chat. I got good
You can have a phone back.
at it for a while. And I'm in Montgomery County, Illinois. I won't get more rockers coming around, wanting to sky watch with me, ruining my spots. Yeah. Funny joke. Hi, George. I think Keith took a hotline's open. Dave's walking the dog, so El Ovni Volador doesn't jump Dave outside and take over the show again. He likes Bigfoot and weapons and long walks in the woods. Might want to unscare that shit up a little.
I'm back.
Ranch sighting, but they're all over this area. Missouri even has juvenile Bigfoot. So it's crazy. They seem to go hand in hand with the high strangeness. There's a group called the Prairie Land Paranormal Consortium in Illinois, and they're still on COVID hiatus, but they usually have monthly. They have Bigfoot hunters and ghost hunters and ufologists that all come to this meeting. So if you're in the area, or if you go online and find their Facebook page, they might have information. I know. I was amazed, Randy. I didn't really realize how many sightings were in. But in ufology, you can't avoid Bigfoot. So you discover all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Dave?
Sure. Whatever you said.
You can't avoid Bigfoot when you're in ufology, or gal.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Nope.
I am so behind right now.
Yeah, but if you get much further behind, it's going to feel like you're ahead of it.
Yeah, true. I know, I'm just missing a lot of people here who are coming in.
Well, this is why we ask if their question wasn't asked. For pity's sakes, restate it in capital letters, and we'll come back to it.
Damn it, Keith! Keith dropping the bomb there. Just boom! Kick him in the shins. That's what he says.
It's my strong suit.
Oh, hey, aren't you off duty?
Yeah, they haven't done numbers yet. I'll be right back.
All right.
I put the candles back there because everybody usually comments about how dark my room is. So I'm trying to.
Nicole likes a little romance every now and again.
But thank you.
All right.
Said it looks very zen.
All right, Nicole, I'm going to get you to hold on a couple seconds here because we are 10 seconds away from returning. Thank you to J1, Andrew, Greco, and Joshua for the amazing super chats. Appreciate it.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us in live wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Thank you to everyone tuning on in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Accidents. Accidents is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection happening right now. We got special guest Nicole Sakic joining Keith and myself. Nicole, Keith, welcome back.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, let's play catch up on these questions, man. John is asking, is it true aliens harvest human DNA to sustain their own population from extinction?
Not even remotely. Well, I guess if we use the term remotely, possibly. But that I'm aware of, there are no races that are on the verge of extinction, and using human DNA to extend their life would destroy their race in the first place.
Okay. Kurt is asking, or do you want to continue on that one?
I was just thinking, if you think about the practicality of it, if you introduce another genome into your race's superstructure, the race you're trying to save is now extinct.
Okay. Kirk is asking, do they have alien steroids that can make us super strong or super fighters?
That one we covered. And the answer is still yes. Although the problem is that if they use their steroids, the people that have them would end up killing the humans that were using them. Or more to the point, the steroids would kill the humans. Because the muscle would grow too fast for the human skeletal system to survive.
All right, moving on here. Let's see here, because I'm trying to play catch up here from the break, and the chat room's moving very fast tonight. Very fast. Okay, M is asking, why can't we even find hair samples or bones if Bigfoots are so common?
Well, as near as I can figure, they deteriorate. You know, if you look at the speed that animals disappear in the wild. I mean, it took centuries for people to find elephant graveyards. And of course, in Bigfoot's case, they do dispose of their own bodies. And I don't mean they eat them, they bury them.
Right.
But if you know where to bury them, they will dissolve. You know, all you need is a natural pocket of lye and you'll get rid of any body. And there are some plants that work very similar to lye.
All right, so I know we always debate the Sasquatch.
Yep.
All right, we always do. But you believe there's two different species.
Yes. One is very definitively off-world. The other one isn't. And neither one of them are extra-dimensional. They're all third-dimensional. But the Wara, which is the sort of look-alike, are a lot more violent and a lot more aggressive than what the Sasquatch is.
All right, let's get to another question here. This one from Star A. On Earth, what areas do aliens like to visit the most and why?
That depends entirely on the individual alien. Sadly, that's kind of like which part of the world do humans like to visit the most? You know, Eskimos like the North Country because the tropics are too warm. The people in Brazil aren't overly impressed with the Arctic Circle. You know.
Very true. Very true. So there isn't more destinations than others where, I mean, wouldn't that make sense or coincide with almost these wormholes where they're popping in, like what's down in, or allegedly down in Sedona, Arizona?
That's only an access point. That's not where they stay. That's simply a way to travel from one location to another, if you will, call it a bus station.
Greg is asking, who taught you the karmic laws?
Well, that would have taken place way back before I was born this lifetime. I got them from the mouth of the Creator himself. And if you take a look, and I've talked about this on my own YouTube channel, if you take a look at any one of the belief structures that are out there, compare them to the 3 karmic laws, and you'll find they fit inside those 3. And if you find one that doesn't, for pity's sakes, let me know. I'd love to know what it is.
M is asking, Keith, I don't want to be abducted. Aliens scare me. What should I do? I'd rather they abduct someone else. Is that bad?
Well, hopefully that works. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody, to start with, really wants to be abducted. I don't know of a way that you can just categorically go, it isn't going to happen. I mean, I do wish you the best of luck with it.
Yeah, but not... Go ahead, Nicole.
I was going to bring up, there's some people that follow the line of thinking that of like a pre-birth contract that you agreed to certain things, and the abduction scenario might be one of those things. So
and that part I will agree with wholeheartedly.
It's an interesting point of view to look into and
it's one I know for a certainty exists to a degree.
Explore, for sure.
It boils down to when you're getting ready to be born, before you reincarnate, you set up a certain number of things that you desire to gain wisdom around. Now, the easy one for most people to understand is cancer. Okay, if you desire to gain the wisdom around cancer, your choices this lifetime the people you associate with, the things you interact with, will determine whether you yourself develop cancer or you take the road of working with people dealing with cancer. Same thing, and I like that theory. It's a really good one and does make a whole lot more sense than people going, I've talked to people that go, I really want to be abducted by an alien. I don't care what alien. I really want to be abducted by one. And I'm thinking, that's a suicidal outlook. I actually talked to one person that was willing to chase a werewolf into their lair just to meet them. And if you know anything about werewolves, you just don't want to back them into a corner because you're not going to have a good day.
All right, let's move on to another question. J1 is asking, does the Arch in St. Louis have additional meetings or use to offlanders?
I'm going to have to take a pass on that because I have no idea what the Arch is. I can tell you that Stonehenge has an additional one.
Okay, take the McDonald's M and divide it by 1, or take away 1.
That part. Yeah, just by the term Arch. But thank you.
This is what I can say to that a little bit is the Arch and the gateway to the Western expansion. It was one of the launching points. But there's some kind of local lore about it being a gateway, and Cahokia, the Native American city that was located at the site. But they've kind of discovered, they thought Cahokia was a big trade center, but what they've recently discovered is actually of celebration for the entire area.
Well, if my
kind of where the tribes would send different people to this celebration site, so it could be a gateway portal-ish.
I'd be inclined to say that if the biomagnetic in that, I'd be inclined to say if the biomagnetic field in amongst that archway is right, it could very well be a gateway. And yes, it would make coming and going in that area really convenient
for the area.
All right, Keith. Yola Tango is asking, do aliens like Dairy Queen?
I think monks are modern.
Okay, Keith, do aliens like Dairy Queen? What blizzard would the Aurora most likely order?
The Wara, I don't know, but Martokians, I do know for an absolute certainty, like strawberry milkshakes.
Oh, I could use one of them right now. Honestly, I'm like 4 weeks of straight water. I would die for a milkshake right now.
Well, as long as you don't die because of one, you're okay.
Yeah, true. All right, Stetson John is asking, now that I can see what Keith looks like, my respect for Keith has skyrocketed. Of course, you got to love those pork chop sideburns. You have to. You have to. I'm a big fan of the sideburns, Keith. I'm not going to lie.
I kind of gathered that, but thanks.
I know. When you shave them, I want them for my studio.
Yeah, well, like I told my other half, shaving I'll do. These, they stay.
No way, man. I want them for the studio.
Yeah. It's like I tell people,
nice.
I think this is probably the reason behind it, but my father always had them.
All right, let's get to Vivian's question on Facebook. What do the aliens think about the insane elites and what they're doing to all human rights right now?
Number one, according to them, the elites aren't the ones that are insane. The elites are the most focused. The people that are insane are the ones that are putting the elites on a pedestal, saying they're the elites. Now, as far as human brutality towards humans goes, they find it absolutely childish and way beyond reprehensible. But it is also the evolutionary path of mankind, and therefore it is not for them to straighten it out.
Makes sense. Jenny is asking, if aliens don't want to degrade the bloodline, why are they making hybrids?
That's the easy part. The hybridization program is, as developed by the Zeta Reticuli, is to grow cultural interpreters. You see, you can take a computer of any form and program it with a language, but you cannot program that kind of the inference of that of the linguistic capacity. For instance, if I take this and show it to any human, and I hold this forward, okay, now that's a coffee cup. Any human is going to know it's a cup of some form. If I go here, any human on the planet will figure you're offering them whatever that is. Aliens will look at this, and if I go here, am I talking about the color of it? Am I talking about the shape of it? Am I offering it to you, or am I threatening to kill you with it? Okay, now DNA is formed in all races, in every corporeal form. DNA holds the cultural significance and the cultural memories. Therefore, by creating the hybrids, you give birth to a creature, to a hybrid that understands instinctively both cultures, making communication possible.
All right, let's move on. Let's get to George's question. George is asking, are aliens at Skinwalker Ranch?
And this is one of those funny ones that I keep hearing about Skinwalker Ranch. I've never looked into it, but I can tell you this. As near as I understand from the little bit that I do know about them, I would have to say at least some of them, yes. But I'm more inclined to think that you're looking at ancient races, as in races that evolved here on Earth.
Rock and roll. Brett Lewis is asking, does Mr. Andrews use Mighty Moose beard oil on them awesome sideburns?
Nope, all natural.
We got to get you hooked up. We definitely got to get you hooked up. J1 is asking a question. Do offlanders ever invade lucid dreams? Invade, not evade. Invade lucid dreams. Or if they are in lucid dreams, have you been abducted?
Okay, problem with lucid dreams. The answer is number one. As far as I understand the whole idea of lucid dreaming, the answer would be no. However, will they bring contact to you through dreams? Absolutely. See, the moment you have lucid dreams, what you're talking about is taking control of your own dream, thereby eliminating the possibility of off-worlders interrupting it, because you've got dominant control. Besides that, if you learn how to lucid dream, the entire purpose of dreams gets completely eradicated on you. But will aliens come to people through dreams? Absolutely, because their natural defenses are down.
Craig is asking, have you ever seen a Sarzazian egg hatch?
I've been inside the hatchery, and it is absolutely fascinating to watch. So yeah, the short answer is yeah, I have.
Wow.
These guys literally, when the eggs hatch, the moment they crack an egg open, the munchkin inside starts calling for help, and the ones that are already hatched will work together to break the eggs open to pull the little guys out.
Cool.
Like, these guys know respect and honor when they're born. This is why you don't want to go up against these guys. If they go into combat, they're going in as a unified force before they're even out of the eggs. You know.
How big are they when they're born?
Approximately the size of a chihuahua.
Cool. Jack is asking, do Nordics like syrup on their pancakes?
Some of them.
As long as they don't eat it for breakfast, for dinner. You don't want to have breakfast for dinner aliens.
We could get into a real cross current on that one.
I'm just saying, Keith.
I know.
You got a question there, Nicole?
What?
What's that? You kind of broke up.
It's all right.
All right, moving on. Nicole doesn't like breakfast for dinner either, by the way. That's on the record. Princess Denali is asking. I'm going to wait for her because her voice is going to pop up here. See? All right, our Keith. Do you feel you are a hybrid human? If so, with what other race of beings?
I gave up that question a long time ago, and I just go with the old axiom: I am that I am. Primarily because of the fact I get along with pretty much all of them. I've had a couple that I didn't get along with, but those were individuals. They weren't a racial problem.
Greco is asking, let's go to Greco's question. Can you tell all the aliens to shut the hell up, either reveal themselves or go home? What purpose do you serve Earth or humanity? Sounds like a Captain Shirk question.
Well, I could tell them, but that would be like telling all humans to be honest. Tell all humans to quit walking around in circles and walking on eggshells and start being honest with each other. The odds of it doing any good are pretty limited. As far as what purpose aliens serve humanity, aliens don't serve humanity. And that's the bottom line. The off-worlders are here to protect the Earth itself, not the infestation on top of it.
Right.
And that's why they won't interrupt human wars, unless the wars get to the point like they did 100 years ago. Try that again, Nick?
Oh, I was going to ask Keith if he thought off-worlders would do a mass
She was almost there.
Yep.
landing, or they had some sort of legal protection too. If their rights to be a species and visit us was somehow protected.
They have an imperative that says, do not do that, because it will totally decimate the xenobiological evolutionary path that mankind is on. Okay, the xenosocioeconomic evolution would be completely decimated were that to happen. See, centuries ago, the Nordics came here and took the mantle of the Norse gods. When the consortium, and then of course they just vanished one day altogether. Mm-hmm. Well, what people don't realize is when the consortium got into the area and found out the Nordics had gone, oh, we're gods. The consortium showed up and went, no, you're not. Get off the planet. And the Nordic gods were gone. And the Nordic gods were gone. That's why they vanished so fast. Basically, they were told, okay, everybody out of the swimming pool.
Yep.
Keith, got a question for you. We've got about 1:10 from How do we know reality isn't a lucid dream and what we call dreams are reality?
That one I will leave for the philosophers to answer, because I don't have an answer for how you would sort it out. The best I can tell you is I asked every psychologist I've ever come across, how you know if you're losing your mind. And every one of them, without exception, has said, if you're asking if you're losing your mind, you're not. Okay. Because if you were losing your mind, you wouldn't be asking. So how you could tell if it was a lucid dream, even if I could tell you, you wouldn't believe me. Because the mind that is saying that this world is a lucid dream is the same one that will take the argument that it's not and warp it around in the mind to go, no, they're just trying to dissuade me so that will build on their own already existing perception of reality.
All right, I'm going to end it right there because we do have to go to break at the bottom of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio. Our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection continues, along with special guest, the famous cook of ufology, Nicole the Cook Saskatch. Hey, she can only do what she has to do. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we're clear. That was a dick move.
Well,
You know what? I think you need to start calling me the Steven Seagal of ufology.
I don't know, but Casper the Sexy Ghost.
Because it's an adventure movie.
Because Casper the Sexy Ghost, never been in our chat room before, it drops an I love breakfast for dinner bullshit comment. Oh. Oh. Sickening people. Absolutely sickening people.
Now we need to know rock or stump.
Rock or which?
Rock or stump.
I'm drawing a blank on that reference.
So what is it? They refer to it as an egg, Dave?
She's talking about Devil's Tower from Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I'll be right back, guys.
All right.
Man, the questions are intriguing today.
Greg, 1 second. Greg Moyes, thank you for that awesome super chat, man. Really do appreciate your support, man. Thank you to Catfish Times 2, J1, Andrew, Greco, and Joshua. Really do appreciate the love, everybody. Thank you. All right. I can't move here because if I move, I'm going to lose my... Oh, where is it here?
Lost it already, did you?
Well, maybe I can catch up. I got it here. I apologize if I've missed anybody who's in the chat room and I haven't said hello to you yet. You know, normally I try to, but the amount of questions, and I got to stop the chat room, and then the chat room flows down, and then it skips a bunch of things that I probably missed some people. So I do apologize. I am trying to scroll down and get everybody in there. All right. Doing my best. It's what you call efforting. Now, Nicole Sackett should have her Spaced Out Radio shirt on tonight, but apparently she doesn't. We're too good for that. Oh, so she wears a James Fox t-shirt instead. Just grab that knife. Grab that knife, twist it sideways.
It's only because I wear yours so much it's dirty and in the laundry. It's a phenomenon shirt, you know.
All right. All right, be that way.
Yours gets all the compliments, you know.
I know, but hold on right there, guys, because it is time for a little Mighty Moose beard oil. Remember, MightyMooseBeard.com is what you got to do to support Gary the Dutchman. And Gary is Dutch, which means they don't give out deals very often. However, I was able to finagle one for you. Use promo code SOR 2019. Just grab a little squeeze bottle, drop it into your hand like so, and then just massage it in. Massage it in. Just like so. It's all natural, no chemicals. And for the ladies, it is, and some men, it's great for the hair as well, because he doesn't want you feeling left out. Just massage it in. That's it. Just, ooh-wee, look how good and shiny and smelly my hair is. MightyMooseBeard.com. Tell Gary the Dutchman, SOR 2019, for your promo code. And that way, you get to get a discount on there. Remember, it is in Canadian dollars, so you are going to be able to take advantage of that if you're in the United States or elsewhere. Since the northern peso isn't doing very well right now. So, yeah, go to MightyMooseBeard.com. Gary the Dutchman. And once again, big thank you to Greg, Catfish ×2, J1, Andrew, Greco, and Joshua for the amazing super chats. And we really do appreciate the love and support. We really do. And we'll get going here in about 12 seconds, Keith. Second half of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, how could you? But you can still find our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with R. Keith Anders and the ET Connection, along with research assistant to Grant Cameron, and a fantastic cook, Nicole Sakic. Welcome back to the show, guys.
Yeah, and thanks for having us. And welcome back to everybody who's joined us.
Casper the Sexy Ghost, love that name, says, what's the average lifespan of a Nordic, Keith?
About 200 to 250 years. Terran years.
I'd like some of that.
Well, theoretically, there's no reason you can't do that. See, scientists figured out that the human corporeal form replaces every cell in its body every 7 years. With this in mind, since the human genome has a perfect blueprint for a perfectly healthy body, there's no functional reason why mankind shouldn't live longer in functional bodies.
Rich Hilke is asking, have any aliens ever been killed during the abduction process, since it is a home invasion?
Absolutely. And I'm sure you guys will get a kick out of this, but when they first started going into modern Texas, a lot of them got taken out. Texans have a very poor surprise rate when it comes to having somebody break into their home.
They're also very good at shooting first and asking questions later.
Yeah. I mean, I get a kick out of it. They shoot first and then go, are you friendly?
Much like Illinois.
But my personal opinion, if somebody's trying to abduct you, don't worry about pull the trigger and then ask.
Mary Bone is asking a question. She's a vegetarian. Mary Bone. Is Keith able to connect with us telepathically?
The best way I can put that is I'm what's classified as an uncontrolled telepath. Meaning sometimes yes, sometimes no, but the reality is I don't know when I'm actually hearing something that somebody is saying or picking up something that somebody is thinking.
I still haven't got a telepathic message from you. I've known you for like 6 years. And you totally brushed me off on that.
Well, it was any consolation, I haven't sworn at you either.
True. True. Very true. All right. I'm scrolling for more questions here. Let's get to Vivian's. Nope. I can't ask that. Let's see here. Once again, my chat room jumped on me, and I dropped a bunch of questions. So now I'm a little verklempt right now. But Keith, while we're waiting for old Dave to find a question for them from the audience, I want to ask you about contact. How come it sometimes, for a lot of people, myself included, it just stops? And you don't see the UFOs in the sky as often. You know, I mean, sure, you get abducted every now and again, but that's aliens. I mean, when you got some aliens, that stuff happens. All right, but there's no fun in it anymore. There's no UFOs cruising just above your house. There's no alien sightings running through your yard. There's no fleet of them going across the sky because, thank you, Elon Musk, for Starlink and ruining that. You know, there's no summoning craft. Boring, Keith. Very boring.
Well, the reason it stops for most people is because whatever project the individual group is dealing with, they've reached a plateau. They've got the information they needed for the time being, so they don't need to collect anymore. And then they let things settle back down, let humans return to their normal routine. And then 10, 15 years down the road, they start it all over again and completely screwed the routine up.
Why?
Well, again, it's because of the type of research. When you're doing xeno-socioeconomic research on nomadic tribes, especially when you're dealing with violently aggressive tribes, you let things settle down, let it get back into a normal routine, then you pick the people up again and take a look at the genetic superstructure and see what is balanced out and what the evolutionary side effects were.
All right, Greco's asking a question. Has our Earth ever come in contact with another Earth from an alternate reality or dimension?
No. And the reason I can tell you that for absolute certainty is because this Earth is still here. Had it come in contact with it, well, both Earths would have been totally decimated. There wouldn't be an Earth for anybody to be asking about. See, everything in existence in this reality, some of it vibrates at a different rate, but it's all third dimensional. Okay, and when we talk about the multiverse, there are measurements, there are control mechanisms that were in place way before mankind ever became a remote thought, or I should say a functionally remote thought. That were put in place to maintain the integrity of the spatial consistency. Sadly, triphasic cross currents can create an absolute shattering. It would literally cause the end of this flip.
Weird. All right, Keith, let's get to Logan's question. What is the oldest or most advanced race that you know of, and where are they from?
Well, the oldest race that I'm aware of that I've talked about would be what I have referred to as the Zerziks. Now, the Zerziks came from before this rendition of the Big Bang occurred. They came from before the last one. But they've come through a couple of Big Bangs. Now, are they technologically advanced? They don't even have technology. They are energy beings. Okay. But they are older than this universe is. See, people know of what people call the Big Bang Theory. If you count that, if you call that whole event a flip, okay, the Zerziks came into existence at least 6 flips ago. I'd be inclined to say closer to 10. Okay. So we are talking about a race that is literally in the trillions of billions of light years of lifetimes old.
Okay, let's move on to a new question here. This one comes from Greco. Do aliens prefer humans or dinosaurs?
That depends entirely on what for. Dinosaurs make great steeds. Humans make great pets.
Okay, just nice and simple like that. Greg is asking, last show you mentioned Atlantis. Why did they leave Earth?
Well, in all fairness, they left Earth because the Terrans at the time wanted the Atlantean technology and were trying to get it by force. Okay, they literally had managed to get some of the Atlanteans to turn on the rest of the Atlanteans, and they worked out a way to sabotage Atlantis itself. And it was literally that sabotage that took Atlantis off the planet. Because the Atlanteans were not interested in giving mankind weapons that would tilt the balance of power. And if you think humans are a violent race now, you should have seen back then.
Okay. Greg is asking again, follow up. Are there alien races that can walk over gravel without making a noise?
Yeah, absolutely. There are alien races that are gravel.
Gravel aliens. That's where we get into some good woo there, Keith.
Woohoo!
Also known as what you would call an earth elemental. Okay. They are literally made of gravel. Or whatever other mineral happens to be available.
Yeah, rock aliens. I'd still throw them in a lake. I'd still throw them in a lake.
Oh.
Well, that's okay. They don't breathe, so they wouldn't drown. They just walk out. Albeit they'd be wet when they walked out.
All right. Joe is asking, does Nicole have any new videos coming out on her channel? It's been months, lady. Months. The public needs their sackage.
I've got a couple in reserve. They're on deck coming out soon. But I have been on hiatus speaking crazy right now. Be nice to restaurant workers. Everybody's understaffed and overworked. But yeah, and then I'm speaking at MegaCon the first week in July. So that'll be fun in Laughlin, Nevada. Thanks, Joe.
Kira is asking you, Keith, what kind of race of ET hybrids live below Uluru in Australia?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think because I can tell you the dwarven race does have an access point down there. There are a number of races that are down in that area. And I'm just trying to remember what the heck. I know the race that I'm thinking of. There is a race that actually lives on the surface. And they're not quite wallabies, but they look very similar to them, and they'll blend right in without a problem. But you really don't want to startle the poor little things. Because much as a kangaroo will hop around with a joey in its pouch, these guys don't. What they carry in their pouch is a whole lot more deadly.
All right, let's move on here. J1 is asking, how long were offlanders on Earth before humans?
Well, humans have only been here for a few billion years, or for a few million years, depending on who you talk to. Off-worlders have been here for approximately the life of Earth, meaning approximately 5.5 billion years longer than humans. Just a rough estimate. but they were in the area before Earth was even a thought process.
Okay, here's a comment from Michelle. Now, normally I don't ask you comments, but I think this one's kind of intriguing. The alien I dreamt of last night looked like a gray but had a pink skin, luminescent green eyes, and wore a blue jumpsuit. Have you ever heard of this before?
Yeah, it's what's called a gray Orion hybrid.
You ever seen one?
Humans are not the only ones that are being hybridized. They're just the easiest ones to work with. But what she's discussing and what she's describing is an Orion gray hybrid. Now, depending on the height and a few other particulars, it could be a gray Martokian.
The Desert Clam is asking, what planet has the best woo?
That I have no functional answer for. I mean, I find it fascinating because many of the races that I talk to, like, for instance, if we go to Mars, they send class excursions to watch humans. Because humans are essentially, in their eyes, a very, very robust, childish race that is somehow managing to get off the planet. And they haven't figured out how mankind is doing this. You know, so they send their kids down to watch humans, you know, flounder around and figure out how to build a skyscraper without killing each other. You know, I get a kick out of it with many of the Martokian children. They'll go, what is the big deal about jumping off a building with you guys? You know, they jump off cliffs all the time. But if you like and look at their legs, they're designed for it. Humans are not.
Minister Elaine is asking, is there a race out there that has a blue glow?
Yep. The true Pleiadians. But you will never see a true Pleiadian without and like outside of their ship on Earth. Because the Earth's atmosphere will kill them. Now, some of the Angelos have figured out how to emulate that, but they usually end up with a yellow glow, which most people see strictly as a halo.
All right, let's move on to a new question here because we only have about 6 minutes before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. George is asking, are the Lemurians really in Mount Shasta?
It would not surprise me to find a couple in there. The Lemurian race itself went from 10 billion strong to 10,000 strong in less than a year. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a straggler or two, but as a race goes, that's not where they're not holed up together in any one location.
Greco is asking, how would aliens view Earthlings speeding up our own evolution?
They look at it as kind of a case of suicidal tendencies. You know, basically, if you're accelerating your evolution, you're missing the whole point of evolution. And it just goes to talk about the inefficiency of human thinking that by getting to a more evolved state means having additional abilities or having further sights without the wisdom to use them. So they're kind of looking at it going, well, where would the logic be in giving a child a grenade and showing him how to pull the pin and tell him to go play with it? You know, it's likely to have a bad outcome. And Lord knows mankind has been trying to jump evolution consistently for centuries.
J1 is asking, does the consortium have a role in when disclosure happens? Will it be soon as anticipated?
They do not even have a say in when humans are going to make that claim. Do they have a guidance preference? Absolutely. Don't do it. It will have way too many ramifications, and humans just don't get what they're asking for. You know, in other words, they don't understand what they're doing. Okay, that being said, will it be as soon as anticipated? In some cases, yes, but it will not be what people think it's going to be. Because what gets revealed will not be as much of the truth as what they're being led to believe.
Okay. What are they supposed to believe then?
Well, everybody's talking about disclosure, revealing all the big secrets that human governments have been keeping secret for centuries. And the reality is humans are not that way inclined. They will tell you they're going to tell you everything that's going on, and there is not a snowball's prayer they're going to do so. Okay. Because humans do not deal with the honesty factor very well. In this case, lack of full disclosure is actually in mankind's best interest.
For its safety and stability.
Yes. What would happen to the entire religious support system that mankind has in all its varied forms if all of a sudden aliens, which have been thought to be a myth or just a figment of somebody's imagination, what would happen to that entire belief if all of a sudden multiple different races were absolutely just categorically shown to be real?
I don't know.
Technology would collapse because all of a sudden what mankind thinks is possible all of a sudden ends. Quantum computers become play toys. They become like the PS5. And reality warping technology becomes the norm. Reality warping being push a button and the planet goes away.
Yeah,
now, given the mentality of many of the humans that we've got on this planet, can you picture what would happen if you take some of these people and give them the capacity to detonate the core of a planet? Especially the one that we're on.
No, I can't.
This is why full disclosure is not wise.
All right, let's move on as we have 90 seconds here. We'll get one more question in from Typical Watch. Do aliens have a voice? Can they talk to humans?
Absolutely, some of them. Some of them, you don't want them opening their mouth because they will blow your eardrums all over the inside of your head. But Greys, Nordics, I mean, I was going to say you've spoken to Greys, but not quite. But I was referring to you, Dave. I mean, you have heard them talk.
Yes. That story weirded out Nicole.
Yeah, but it was such a hoot. That was one of those phone calls I don't think I'll ever forget.
That was a weird one. And the fact that you were the first thing you say out of your mind, have you heard anything strange tonight? I hadn't even told you that I got aliens in the yard. Have you heard anything strange tonight? Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah, and then you went and turned around and held the phone out and, yeah, listen to this.
Yeah, that was weird, man. That was weird.
And then we had a nice little conversation and found out what Carl was up to, which was really funny. Especially your reaction when he started to laugh.
Jerk. Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on. Nicole, I'm going to get you to hold on because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour, BT Connection with R. Keith Andrews and special guest cook Nicole Sakic. As we continue on with the mighty SOR here tonight. Your questions, we continue right after this. All right, we're clear. I'm walking away. I'll be right back.
Okay, bye.
You guys talk with the audience.
That's nature screams and leaves. I tell you, the questions tonight have been something bizarre. But no, I was actually looking at it. I was working on the second volume of Races of the Worlds today, and I was just looking at it, and I'm looking at over 40 races being added to the list that I've got. So that I'm hoping to have out by the end of the year, as well as the sequel to the novel that I wrote. So this has been, the questions you guys come up with is why this show has lasted this long. Because frankly, if it weren't for you guys, this show would not be half as enjoyable. I can talk to myself until the cows come home. But, the reality is, from my standpoint, that, humans and aliens are so similar to each other, in a lot of ways. I mean, the off-worlders definitely have better toys. Okay. And the reality of that is that the modern Terran technology cannot effectively communicate with off-world technology. They actually have to work through an interpreter on it. They actually have to build an extra machine with the help of the off-worlders to be able to get the two computers to communicate. I mean, the way it sits right now, trying to hook up a modern, a modern IBM computer or a modern Apple to an off-world computer is kind of like trying to hook up an abacus to a modern-day computer. There's some fundamental problems. Nicole, you're back.
I'm back.
Got a kick out of that. Dave says, you talked to me.
Conversation
you
from
talked to the
grade.
audience, and all we got out of you was, and you ran away.
No, I had to let my dog back in from when I let him out before.
What, you haven't taught him to open the door on his own?
So I wanted to ask, though, when we were talking about energy and how humans can learn to harness their chi, and that being kind of vision or energy than what aliens are manipulating. Can humans use their chi against aliens?
Absolutely. See,
or, it's all about changing your vibration. Is that
oddly enough, it's actually more about changing their vibration. You see, humans can set up a
does it make you?
You break up really badly. Does it make the person do what?
Essentially like a tuning fork.
Essentially, yes. It causes molecular dissociation. Meaning it breaks the molecular bonds of a physical body apart. See, every cell in existence can be reprogrammed to do something else. Okay, and when we were talking about it earlier, the way to build that energy level is just put your hands half an inch apart, and you'll feel the energy between your hands.
Right.
Well, focus on that energy. You can get the energy to separate very easily, at least from my experience. Very easily, you can get it, a foot apart without too terribly much trouble. by doing that, you're tapping into that 0 point energy, that chi, if you will. And it's that modification that enables humans to do things that off-worlders have not figured out how to do.
Aha, I see.
Now, granted, some off-worlders use energy far better than humans do, but they don't have the aggression to them at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like the Zerziks would never consider harming somebody.
I see.
And Dave
Cool.
has returned.
I like it though. I like it though.
All right, we got about 1 minute and a half here.
Okay, now.
Do you guys want to go to the top of the hour, or do you want to bail out at the bottom?
I got no problem.
Nicole?
Hang. Doesn't matter. Either way.
Okay. Let's just do it. We're having
We don't want any.
We don't want any what?
News to get.
All right. Big thank you to Jack, Jeremy, Greg, Catfish times 2, J1, Andrew, Greco, and Joshua for the amazing super chats tonight. We really do appreciate the love. Thank you to all our new subscribers. Here we go with hour 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. To everybody listening around the world and on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Accidents. Accidents is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time, actually it's not the final time, we're going to go to the distance with Nicole and our Keith Andrews on the ET Connection tonight. Because what the hell? We're having a lot of fun here, talking aliens all night long and taking your questions from the audience in our chat rooms. Keith, we're going to start off with Yola Tango's question. You mentioned werewolves earlier. Are there an alien race of werewolves, or are they living here on Earth?
Well, again, we have actually two answers to that. There are some that are from off-world, and there are some that evolved here. Okay. The ones that evolve here are not fun. They tend, because what they really boil down to is humanized wolves, which, needless to say, makes them hunters. The off-worlder ones are a little bit more communicative. But are you likely to find them in the city? No, but on the other hand, on Inner Earth, that's another hunting ground altogether.
J1 is asking, are any offlanders described, or disguised rather, as dogs or family pets?
Disguised, that would indicate they change shape, and therefore the answer would be effectively no. But are there some that look like human pets? Absolutely. Some also look like aquarium animals. Okay, It's just they're not technically disguised because they're just looking normal. They're just hard to differentiate.
Yola Tango again with another question. Who is the white sparkly alien male that lives within Mount Shasta? Have you met them before?
White sparkly? I suspect I know who she's talking about. Now, specifically which one, I don't know, because quite frankly, there's more than one. Okay, but you're probably doing, like, I know which ones we're referring to, and those guys are fully telepathic. Actually, they're not telepathic, they're telepathic, meaning they will broadcast both emotion and language. But if you're asking name, I haven't got a clue. Of course, I don't have a clue for the name of most of the people I meet.
Okay. Big J wants to know, do wormholes even work?
Absolutely, without a problem. Wormholes are a riot, and they can save you gas mileage like you wouldn't believe. And yes, in answer to that question, there are wormholes on Earth. Okay, they're pocket wormholes. Okay, I know of one that literally is on the Coquihalla Highway between here and Vancouver.
Oh, where's that
Years
one?
ago, I used to access the thing, and I'd save myself 100 kilometers. And I would show up with witnesses.
Time out. You can't drop a bomb like that since I'm driving the Coquihalla and not tell me about it.
You got to get in the right frame of mind, first and foremost, but there is a problem with them. Can you access them? Yes. Okay, it actually started, there's one that starts just the other side of Merritt and pops out just this side of Hope, which will save you about 100 kilometers.
I'm waiting for that little detour. Anyways, you can tell me that off the record. Let's go to Logan's question. If you could vacation to any alien home world, which would it be? What would it be like?
You know, I do like the Swazian home world, but I'm also kind of fond of as long as I've got company, going to Zeta Reticuli is a lot of fun. Because the animals and the plants, all the animals and plants on Zeta Reticuli are very sociable. Very deadly, but very sociable. You know, the reason it's better there than it is on the Swazian homeworld is because the Swazian homeworld, quite frankly, the gravity is way too high, and I've already got a bad leg. You know.
Nicole, where do you want to travel?
Well, I was going to ask Keith. I've heard a lot of experiencers, not only in describe this place that they often refer to as the shores of creation. And it's almost like a shoreline, like a beach, but of sand is a soul or a universe in itself. And it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess the place where you unite with the oneness.
Yes. The Golden Beaches.
But I didn't know if that was that you could travel to, or if it was kind of like a collective that we bring about.
Let me put it this way. Can you get to it? The answer is yes, but you're supposed to be invited. Okay. I just broke the rules when I showed up there.
Right.
I was literally told. I was literally told I wasn't supposed to be there yet. Right. I got there earlier than what I should have. So I simply told the guy when I got there that the door was open. He goes, no, it wasn't. I said, it was so. It was open when I came through.
You lied to an alien?
I which?
You lied to an alien?
No, I didn't lie to him.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. I just shut that off, but, no time. Welcome to live video. No, I didn't lie to him. I just went someplace where I wasn't invited, which is usually how I get places at this point. Like I told him, door was open when I came through. He goes, "Well, you opened it." I said, "Well, yeah, of course I opened it, but it was open when I came through it."
Next,
as the saying goes, it's easier to ask forgiveness than it is to get permission a lot of the time.
True.
Don't take that to extremes.
Cajun is asking, what is responsible for the blue and or white orbs?
Their parents. In other words, the orbs he's referring to are a race. Okay, so what is responsible for them? Well, their parents get together, and, next thing you know, you have little blue and white orbs. It's kind of like saying what's responsible for ants. Well, their parents are. As far as who guides them, they're individuals. Yes, I know. Sometimes the answer to the question is way easier than what you think. But it's not a question like people. I think what he's worried about is whether those are probes. And it is possible in some cases the orbs are probes. Okay. In all fairness, most of the orbs that people see on photographs, most of them are dust particulates. Not all of them by any means, but the blue and or white orbs, I suspect very strongly that what you're looking at, number one, is a race that actually exists. Let's see if I can get the answer to the name offhand. I know what I'm looking for. That's the easy part. That's why I keep this thing in. Try that again.
So some of the theories out there is their orbs are an actual race. I've also heard that some orbs are actually portals. So
if you're talking the bigger, and you're talking about the really big orbs, and yeah, you're talking about gateways at that point, but those are huge orbs. Okay, the ones that are around the size of your fist, those are usually a race. You'll get smaller ones that are literally dust particulates that you're catching light off.
Right.
Or there is a race that if you take a 5-inch orb, there is a race that flies ships that size. Their pilots are no larger than 3 inches. Yeah, so I mean, you are looking at 3 different causes, as it were.
All right, let's move on here to another question. This one comes from Mr. Duff. How many mushroom trips have you had? You're damn good.
Well, honestly, never once. Never touched shrooms. Cocaine, on the other hand, I used to do a minimum of 6 lines a day. I just quit counting at that point. That's okay. I washed it out with a 26er.
Oh, my. It's very rare you catch me off guard with an answer, man.
Well, like I said,
now.
I've made no bones about about whether or not I've done things that were, shall we say, off kilter.
That's not off kilter, dude. That's addiction.
Yeah, but I got into it for the best reason possible and the stupidest one at the same time.
A girl?
Technically, yeah. I mean, she was very definitely a girl, but wrong reason. She was 100% total stranger that I found out had severe alcohol and drug addiction, and she wanted out of it. Well, my parents taught me very clearly that you cannot gauge somebody's life if you've never walked a mile in their shoes. I wasn't even a heavy drinker at that time, so I dove in with both feet.
Apparently
The day she walked out of that world, when I met her, she had nothing. When she walked out of that world, she was off the drugs, off the alcohol, half owner of a house and engaged to be married. I quit drugs and alcohol the same day. Cold turkey, no withdrawals. This is why I tell people that if you've walked into an addiction, I've already walked out of them. For some bizarre reason, at that point in my life, I was only sleeping 2 hours a night. Can't imagine why. I was holding down a full-time job.
Maybe it had something to do with the nose candy you were going at that time. Oh my goodness! Let's get to right. Let's get to Kira's question. What alien planet is fire and ice with volcanoes and Iceland masses where there are dragons?
Well, that is a fair piece away because the dragons from Earth are now living on the astral plane. However, there are a couple of planets that are literally that way involved. Okay, most of the Terran dragons went to the astral plane. Okay, but if you go back to Earth, roughly speaking, about 4 billion years ago, you'll find quite the comfortable zone there. But there's Vulcan is a place that's a lot of fun, but the dragons don't live there. That's where Vulcans live there. And by the way, those are not the pointy-eared people. Okay, Vulcans are actually a crystalline race. But exactly which, there's a couple of planets that are fire and earth that are totally, if you will, under construction at this point. And yeah, dragons, in case you hadn't figured out, are absolutely real. About 15 years ago in England, here, they found the fossil of about a 3-foot reptile with two nasal flows, one of which was completely carbonized. Okay, AKA you're looking at a fire-breathing dragon that used to live here. I actually thought they were extinct a lot earlier than that, but what the heck?
Let's get to Chris Moe's question. What's the nearest inhabited homeworld, Keith?
Mars. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to think about that for longer? See, the moon isn't a homeworld and it's occupied, but it's not a homeworld. Mars, on the other hand, is occupied. Which is why when Elon Musk goes, we're going to colonize Mars, I'm thinking, I literally told the people who told me that, I'm like, I think in today's vernacular, that's called invading. And I just can't see it going well.
Sadie wants to know, can humans go into portals?
Absolutely. I know this for an absolute certainty. Because when I was running with the psychic fairs, traveling between all over BC and Alberta, I had passengers with me when we took the car through them.
Over in the UK, Commonwealth Andrew wants to know if there is an alien rock band out there that is just rocking out. Like, what kind of music do they like, in other words?
That depends entirely. I mean, there is quite the array. And I mean, it all falls under pretty much the same categories. You've got the homegrown types, you've got when we talk about hard rock, right? If you go to inner earth, when you're talking about hard rock, you're talking about people that are actually beating on rocks with rocks. And the funny part is the higher density of the material, the better the sound. So yeah, there are musical, other races do enjoy their own music. I mean, you want to hear something fun, go to the what the heck are they called? Over in Ireland, into the quagmires and into the swamps. They talk about wailing banshees. What they don't realize is those are songbirds. Call it the opera singers of the undead.
Makes sense. All right, this leads to another musical question from Jack, who's asking, do most aliens prefer Beatles or the Stones, Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath?
No.
In other words, aliens have very poor taste in music.
No, in other words, aliens have very varied taste in music. I mean, it's like take the city of New York, okay, and ask what band the majority of people there like, what style of music, and you will come up with quite the mixed answer. Because music, as I'm sure you're aware, is very much a personal thing.
I think they like the music continue to inspire generations for decades to come.
They absolutely do.
Yep.
That's a good statement right there, Nicole. Power statement, strong statement.
Well, the comment that music soothes the savage breast is very real, because the sonic emanations caused by music are what calm people. They're also what agitate people. And in my case, if you hit the right one, it'll kill me in a heartbeat, literally. Found that out the hard way.
Vince wants to know, where do the dragons live?
Astral plane. They don't live on the whole on the physical world at all anymore. At least not around Earth. There was a massive battle some billion years ago that encouraged them to abandon the corporeal form and yet maintain the appearance of it. Hence, when you watch the clouds, people that think they're seeing dragons in the clouds, more often than not, are not imagining them. Which adds a whole new concept to the idea of aerial combat if a war were to break out.
Mm-hmm.
But, dragons on the whole do not live in the corporeal world anymore.
Fast Hemi wants to know, are there any wooden aliens? As we got about 90 seconds left before we're going to break. Wooden aliens.
Arborians are plants. They are trees. Okay, and if you go down into Borneo, you'll actually find something there that they call walking trees, which are, for lack of a better way to put it, and apologies for the term, but they're very much like very, very slow Arborians. Okay, as in they physically walk. Much like the ants in Tolkien's The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, they are actually real people.
Interesting. Wooden aliens. Wouldn't like wood nymphs or fairy folk be included in that too?
They would be, except for the fact they themselves are not wooden. They simply travel amongst the wooden world.
Okay, this quickly leads to Greg's questions. We've got 30 seconds. Are gnomes still around? Does having a gnome statue attract them?
Well, that sort of depends on how twisted the gnome is. It's kind of like, to them, it's like taking a child, making a sculpture of it, and sitting it on your doorstep. I'm wondering if that'll attract humans. Some of them will come and look at it. If they're done well, they'll come and look at it to see how accurate they are.
Well, on that note, I'm going to get you to hold on because I'm pretty proud. Finally caught up to the end of the chat as we go for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Nicole Sackage and R. Keith Andrews. They're here for the ET Connection. We'll continue it right after this. All right, we're clear. Chat away with the audience, man.
That's too funny.
Yeah, don't often find you losing composure completely there, Dave.
Oh, yeah, well, that one caught me off guard, man.
Nobody ever asked before.
True.
And the reality of it is this. We cannot change our past. Nobody can. I'm actually working on one of the videos I'll be doing. I'm working on trying to figure out how to do a pictographical explanation so people can understand why time travel going backwards doesn't work, but does work going forwards. What do we got here?
I think Jenny has a crush on you, R. Keith.
Who does?
Jenny.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. Just to be clear from that standpoint, and I've always been very clear about it, I came off the market about 8 months ago.
I'm teasing, buddy.
I know. Things have gotten very, very, shall we say, intriguing as far as I go.
I hear Fap also has a crush on you.
Well, hopefully when travel starts to happen again, and I've made this very clear to people because I've been asked before, am I going to go and speak at different conferences? The answer is definitively, yeah, I will. Given invitation and given travel possibilities. That's the whole catch. I honestly don't leave my house much except when I have to go to travel. Which I'll tell you, Dave, the last one we went on was a riot.
Nice. Apparently, Vinny has a crush on you, too.
Well, much as I appreciate it, I don't know what else you do with that.
I think it's the effect of the chops. It's
you win?
Chops and sideburn effect.
Yes. It's the sideburn effect.
I figure those have been with me since I was tiny. Well, since I first started getting hair at all.
Vinny wants to know if he can call you Big Keith.
Honestly, I don't care what people call me.
He'll take you to a good night of bingo. He will.
There was one point where somebody literally had figured my name was Cliff, and that's what I was always known as.
I'd call you Cliff. You look like a Cliff. You could be a Cliff.
Yeah, I've been called a lot of things, and a few of them are repeatable in polite company.
Just remember, if Vinny ever messages you and asks you to go to bingo, that means that he's going to romance you.
I'm presuming this man is along the same lines of if you're not interested in that line of thinking, that you just, like with a tech lag, if they invite you to dinner, turn them down.
All right. Nicole likes playing bingo too, Vin.
Only with old ladies. Bingo and bowling.
Her favorite number, Vin, is 069. Ah.
That's just so wrong, Dave. You do realize that, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Just thought I'd point that out for you.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's get to the seriousness here, since apparently my joke didn't go over too well with Nicole and Keith, and, I got the silent treatment. Thank you, Fap, Jack, Jeremy, Greg, Catfish Times 2, J1, Andrew, Greco, and Joshua. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you have missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce our Keith Andrews, Nicole Sackage, great cook, by the way, even though I've never eaten her food, but that's what the rumors are in the UFO world. And this is the ET Connection, where we talk all things extraterrestrial, supernatural, paranormal, and how it affects us on a daily basis. Our Keith, welcome back.
And thank you so much for having me.
And Nicole, welcome back. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. All right, Keith, as we continue on here, and we start to see the public really start to look at UFOs quite a bit here, my friend, and ET contact. Can you separate one from the other? Because that seems to be the message that's out there right now, is that we can separate UFOs from aliens. I don't think you can.
Well, and here's the thing. A UFO is, literally speaking, an unidentified flying object. Therefore, by that definition, anytime you see an alien, like an alien craft, every alien craft, in all likelihood, virtually everyone, is a UFO. But not every UFO is an alien craft. Okay, if I look up and I see a spot in the sky and I can't make out what it is, it's unidentified. And I cannot tell you by looking at one, by looking at an ultralight, what it is. If it's up too high. So, is there a difference between them? Certainly. A lot of UFOs are standard terrestrial normal things. Okay. Some of them are natural animals. Some of them are natural phenomenon, lighting, that sort of thing. But there are a staggering number of actual non-human origin type things that are going on. And I mean, if you take a look at the sheer numbers of sightings from the breadth of the witnesses, from every walk in life, you have to look at the numbers and go, even if only 0.1% of those are real, okay, you're still looking at a staggering number of events. But like when people show me videos, I can tell you if I see something beyond the video, but I cannot tell you if the video itself is made up or what have you. All I can do is look at the video and go, what that is depicting is real, or I've never seen anything to that caliber before. Okay. That's the easiest way to look at it.
Okay, and I understand that because with drones and everything, it's easy that these things are unhumanized or unpopulated. All right?
Yeah.
There's no pilots outside of remote control.
Right.
But for most of the craft that we see out there, are they also flying the same way?
Most of the craft that are out there are manned. And I'll use the term manned a little loosely. I think we're better off saying that most of the craft that are seen flying around.
Go ahead, Nicole.
I think most people don't like that there has to be UFOs aren't necessarily aliens, though, because I think a lot of people feel we're past that argument. Of course, we're not talking about the things that can be explained.
Well, that's
by something. UFOs being, synonymous with aliens. I think people are already making that bridge. And don't want to make the decision.
Well, the problem there is if whether people want to make the distinction or not isn't a relevant concern.
Right.
The sad reality is the distinction is there. But I like the way Shakespeare put it when he said a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Doesn't matter what you call the thing. Okay, and every one of the unidentified ships is not necessarily of alien origin, because there have been a number that humans have reverse engineered and have deliberately constructed to look, even though they use Terran technology, they have built them to look like UFOs for their own reasons.
Right, and I'm just saying, I think there's a big part of the community past that point to where when they are discussing this topic, yes, they're meaning aliens. They're not making the distinction. They're past that point in the argument.
But that also goes to what I've been saying for years. Okay? When you're not an experiencer, it's never aliens. When you're an experiencer, it's always aliens. And I realize
that is very often the case.
And I realize too, though, that is a very unpopular answer. And
well, the time to educate themselves that, how to identify things in the sky.
I would like to agree with you, Nicole, but the sad reality of what I've been born witness to is that most people don't educate themselves. This doesn't, and I'm not meaning offense to anybody.
Right.
It's just what I've seen. Like, I've talked to a lot of people that I kid you not, they will claim that they have talked to, that they have dealt with off-worlders face to face. And yet I know for a fact they don't recognize them when they see them. Okay. And no, I'm not about to point names at anybody.
Some pictures are obviously dust, and there's some that aren't that easily explained. So it's right in that gray area of the argument of, is it all dust or is some of it
exactly
not dust? This is going to be a back and forth, for a long time till we get definitive answers.
I will tell you this. Even when we have definitive answers, that argument will still go on. If that were going to change, we wouldn't still have a staggering number of people that still believe the earth is flat. Okay, you will always have the people that will stay on the outside of, no, it's not real.
Right.
Mr. Catfish is asking, how do aliens reproduce? Because I heard that it's very bloody and violent.
That depends entirely on the race. Although there are some that is very accurate. Some are the most beautiful rendition of reproduction. Okay, where it is just something phenomenal to witness, because they literally, and the biologists out there will absolutely agree with this, I'm sure of it. But there are some races that literally self-divide. Okay, and that is how they reproduce. But the energy that comes off them and the color that comes off them as they're reproducing is just absolutely magnificent to watch. Okay, and you got to remember, those races don't put the same taboo on reproduction as humans do. But there are, like, you don't want to see what happens with Tekla and Cerezogium when they start to go into their mating ritual. Just don't get between them. Okay, and that pretty much means within a Terran city block.
Ew.
That's not very, very pleasant. Not very pleasant whatsoever.
Well, I mean, look in the Terran animal kingdom. If you watch mantis, if you watch the mantis mate, after it's all said and done, the wife kills the husband. I mean, that's literally the way they deal with it. And they think nothing of it. It's just plain normal.
Very true. That just sounds way too painful. I think we all kind of clinched our legs at that point. We really did. Our Keith Andrews, Nicole Sackage, the ET connection continuing on here. Keith, extraterrestrials, for those of us who've had the experience, we know they're here. We know that there are these gray dudes. We know that there are these humanoids, as well as other type species that are here. As experiencers are out there, what's the best way to go about telling people that they are having these strange occurrences?
The best way I ever found was, if you're ready to talk to somebody about it, tell them that you're not looking for them to tell you whether it happened or whether it didn't. Ask them to look at what you're telling them as though it's an event that did take place, and you're just asking how to deal with it. Okay. Do not tell them flat out you're not trying to prove it one way or the other. Okay, because there is no amount of talking to somebody that hasn't been there that is going to likely help them deal with it or help them accept that it's real. It takes a very special individual to have that open a mind that they'll just go, yep, sounds like you were taken. And it's okay. It's all part and parcel. I mean, we talk about it as though it's just second nature. Well, in my case, it basically is. But the best way to deal with it is tell them before you open up, tell them you don't want to know whether it's real. You just want to bounce off what you're going through and ask for input on how to cope with it, because this is what you're seeing. And of course, the reality is, tell them flat out you're not there to convince them what's happening or to convince them it's not real. You're just going through it and you need help coping with it. That, I think, is the best way to approach it.
There's a lot of emotion that goes into that, though, Keith.
Always. And that's the thing that people have to realize is if you watch the person's reaction, if the emotion is real, the odds are that the event was real. Okay. And yes, there are people who go, well, couldn't they just be nuts? Well, they could be. The reality is the greater majority of people that are going through this, they are not making it up. This is something that has happened to them, and they just don't know how to cope with it. And even from their standpoint, I mean, you take a look, even take a look at your own life with it, Dave. Until it physically happened in front of you, you're standing there going, well, where's the proof that I can work with? I know I believe in it, but there was a decided change when Carl showed up in your backyard.
Very true.
All of a sudden it went from this possibility to reality.
It was hard. But that's why I ask about the emotion of it all.
Yeah. And it's something that somebody that's never been through it, it's kind of like if you've never watched somebody die.
Well, Dave,
the first time you see it happen, it's hard on the system.
Nicole.
Dave, I think this might tie into the question you asked at the beginning of the show when you said, why does sometimes contact disappear? It's that contact disappears. I think it gives you a time to process the experience that you just went through,
I can see that.
It's kind of like it and come to terms with it.
Yeah, I can see that. Keith, what's your thoughts?
That makes absolute sense. Because, like I said, when they're abducting people, they're not trying to destroy their life. It's just a natural side effect. And leaving them alone for a little while to regain their footing absolutely is undoubtedly part of the process.
Right.
Well,
because you've got to let the body settle back down, and you're not going to get stable readings anyway.
How do we control the emotions? Because I know when Nicole had one of her last experiences where she came home and there was a pile of rocks sitting on her kitchen table when her door was all locked, and her dog literally pissed itself out of fear, that it was very emotional because she had just seen a UFO. And now there's quartz sitting on her kitchen table.
Bonus.
Yeah.
Did you put it all in the same place?
Yeah, I collected them. I have them. I took pictures of them. They're in a bag in my cabinet. And, and even as cool as I thought that experience was, and I was kind of seeking out to have another experience, that a port situation still scared.
Well, yeah, all of a sudden you've got
backed away. Oh, it leveled up, but I backed away from pursuing this interaction in port situation. And did I really just have another sighting, that was witnessed by corroborating people in other towns? And,
Yeah.
I assessed everything, and that's still where I'm at now, almost a year later. So,
well, and that's the whole catch, because I would lay odds that those crystals that you were handed can be configured into quite literally a database.
Right, they look just like rocks, like gravel.
To you,
right.
Understand the crystalline technology that these guys use look like Terran crystals.
Mm-hmm.
Because Earth is not the only place that these things grow.
Right.
But even humans know that crystals hold better information matrices than electronics do.
Mm-hmm.
So you may be looking at a staggering database.
I never looked at it that way. Where I had my first sighting, actually, and it's a rock pile, like storage area out in the country to rock country roads for, various times a year in the weather. And I mean, depending on how big the pile is. And that's where I was standing when I had my first sighting and my second sighting. And yeah, when I got home from my second sighting, and I was so thank you, I was like, woo, oh, you like this music, given that kind of appreciation and praise scenario that you hear in heist scenarios or CE5 scenarios. And yeah, when I got home, the pile of rocks wouldn't, at my spot. And I looked at the pile of rocks as like an affirmation, like, yeah, you saw us and we saw you too.
What would be really fascinating? I'd have to.
That's kind of.
Well, I actually have to see them, but I mean, even a photo of them, but I would lay odds if they're laid out in the right pattern and you hit them cross current with a 37.4 microhertz burst of magnetic energy, along with a 90-degree bioelectric impulse, you will likely find a music base.
Well, I'll show you the pictures of how they were on the table. I can do that.
Quickly, 20 seconds here. Keith, let everybody know where they can find your information.
The easiest place to find it is look for Inner Voice Enterprises on YouTube. Because at the bottom of all of the videos is a list of ways to contact me, or just drop me a line at innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca.
Our Keith Andrews, always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio for the ET Connection. We will talk to you next month.
Well, thank you very much, Dave, and thank you all for joining us.
And Nicole Sackage, it's always a pleasure to have you back here as well, rocking out with us. We really do appreciate you, my friend.
Anytime. It's great to be back.
Rock and roll. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Twitch, Periscope, and on Twitter, Derek and the Snarkettes rocking out at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.
For the ones who get going when the going gets tough, and the ones who know we're tougher together. For the Pathfinders breaking new ground, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as fast access to experts and 24/7 customer support. Because we know you have people depending on you, so you can always depend on us. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Minute Maid slushies are back at McDonald's. And if you want to thank me for that info with the slushie, that's cool. It's more than a drink. It's a McDonald's drink.
Treat yourself to a refreshing Minute Maid slushie. A pink lemonade or strawberry watermelon. Goes great with a fresh beef quarter pounder with cheese or the new crispy chicken sandwich. At participating McDonald's for a limited time. Fresh beef available at most restaurants in contiguous U.S. Not available in Alaska, Hawaii, and U.S. territories.